Howdy, lads, MVs, and lasses. If you live in the Harris Branch neighborhood in Austin, Texas, this is a quick video that is going to cover some of the concerns that our homeowners are having in regards to the complete disconnect of our residential HOA board and Goodwin, our managing company. Now, for those who don't know, Goodwin is hired by the HOA to run the day-to-day business. The management company runs the management of our properties and answers to the board. Your board is elected. So keep in mind, we've got 2 seats on that board coming up. Make sure you run. Make sure you vote. Don't give away your votes in a proxy. More on that in another video. Now, something that is absolutely bananas when it comes to the way that our HOA goes about treating homeowners is the members, mainly the president, vice president, and a few of the members being Mike McLaughlin, Gary Belcher, David Alley, are quite conservative, if not regressive, in the manner in which they wish to run the HOA. Their focus when it comes to their regime is simply to be punitive. They think fining and escalating things against homeowners is the proper path to getting things resolved. They are not at all keen on cooperation or working with homeowners in a manner that actually gives homeowners power back in the decisions of what they do with their properties and what we as a community want to do as a whole. That all being said, I wanted to bring up these fines that have been coming out. Now, I'm sure it is no surprise to anyone who's been reading the tea leaves that, of course, we are enjoying, or rather lamenting, having historic heat waves. We are also in stage 2 droughts, which means you should not be watering your grass unless it's following the instructions given by the city of Austin. Put it up on the screen. Make sure to follow those. It's important that we conserve our drinking water and not use it on lawns. Now, over here, you'll look. These are the courtesy notices that have been coming out to some homeowners. And if you are getting one of these for dead grass in the middle of a historic heat wave, post a comment below or message me. Something I wanted to bring up, being a former board member, I had worked with the board on a better, more up-to-date courtesy notice or fine notice that empowers homeowners to take the initiative and to remove that turf grass and to install water-wise landscaping. Now, this is something you are protected under by the state law. HOAs cannot restrict rainwater-wise landscapes. On top of that, you can get fundage back from the city for performing these upgrades to your lawn, be it installing rain barrels, be it removing turf grass, installing native plants, installing bushes. All these things can help reduce your time mowing, increase the aesthetics and property value of your home, as well as get a little bit of change back in your pocket after you've completed them. Now, I'll put all the links in the description below, so that way you can do a little bit more research on your own and see what it is that you qualify for or would be interested in doing. One thing I will tell you, before you start this project, be sure to submit an ACC request. I have a video, I'll post it at the end of this video, on how to do that, but make sure you get the approval from the ACC first and then move forward. If you find that you're getting a lot of denials despite you having a water-wise landscape, go ahead and leave a comment below or reach out to me personally, and we can see what we can do. Notice that's coming out. You can see they give you 12 days to cure the violation. That means you need to cure dead grass within 12 days. What does that entail? Using lots of water. Now, something additionally to know is the fine process. Normally, these are courtesy letters sent out initially. Once you get a courtesy letter, you get another X amount of days to resolve or cure your violation. Then they hit you with a $25 fine, and X amount of days. Then they hit you with $50, $75, $100, and then it just repeats on 100 until you finally cure the violation. You're more than welcome to pause the video and read through that entire notice. If you already have one, I'm sure you have. But let's move on to the template that I created and sent to the board back in December, early January. So you can see in this example, it empowers homeowners to go ahead and take action to improve their property values, to improve the aesthetics of the neighborhood, to reduce the heat sink effect. It also encourages you to preserve our precious resources. But if you don't buy into the conservation aspect, consider the cost. I know, for example, some homeowners have already spent over $600 trying to cure these issues. You can pause this and read through it. I'm going to read the one sections that I've added. Please provide a plan to address the areas of your yard where dead grass exists. This is an invitation to homeowners to say, hey, I see that there's an issue. I would like to address it. Here's my plan. So that way you're not stuck with a 12-day gap to try and figure out an entire Xericscape. That's just not reasonable. But as long as you communicate with the HOA and say, hey, I do have a plan, I'm working on it, and you can give some updates on where it is you want to go, or just let them know that you're going to create one, that'll go a long way in helping to resolve these issues. I'll continue reading on the bold part here. Did you know that you are allowed to Xericscape and zeroscape sections of your yard? This is a viable option over resodding areas that are problematic. If you would like to remove the grass in this area in favor of something easier to maintain, simply put together a plan and submit it to our ACC board. Resources for ideas include austintexas.gov/department/landscape-design, centraltexasgardener.org, wildflower.org, that's our Ladybird Wildflower Center, excellent resource on native plants and best practices to ensure that you save money, your yard looks good, and everybody in the neighborhood talks about you in a good way. The final piece there is Tree Folks. If you are not signed up for the Tree Folks newsletter, I highly recommend doing it. They do an Urban Tree Folks event once a year where they give out a free tree to each property owner in the Austin area. Make sure you sign up for that. This year we got a fig tree, and it's doing all right. Now, the rest of this bolded print here is just the rest of the fine letter. Again, feel free to pause, and you can go ahead and read that as needed. So what does a Xericscape lawn look like? You can click all of the links and go and do your research on your own. I highly recommend it, but I wanted to put together a good example of an outdated, antiquated, unsustainable practice when it comes to what is believed to be an ideal lawn. Now, you can look on the screen here. I gave it a thumbs down just to make sure it was obvious. But if you look at this lawn, you will notice that there is very short grass with nothing in between, and then you have a very large tree. Now, back against the house, you'll see some bushes. Unfortunately, those bushes are non-native invasives. They kind of destroy a lot of our native ecosystems around when birds eat their berries and go release them in the woods. That's one of the things to consider. That's why I provided the links that I did, because it's so important to plant natives. They will do much better here, and it will ensure that Texas stays Texan. The other thing here is there is the dead space between your turf grass and your large tree. Now, natively, in an ecosystem, there would be different tiers of spaces between that ground floor and your upper canopy, whether it be a mid-story tree, bushes, tall grasses, things of that nature. So always think in a tiered mindset when it comes to building out your xeriscaping. Now, you don't have to put every plant in right away. You can add and take away over time. That's one of the fun things about it, but it allows you to start that template, that palette, if you will, of how you want your yard to look, and it's always easy to maintain as far as moving one or two plants or adding plants here or there. And here is an exquisite example of a Xericscape lawn. This is here in Texas. You'll see that there are tiers to this landscape. There's not just flat, short grass and then tall, big trees. You'll also notice that many of the plants are drought tolerant, native. Also, if you look closely, it's not all just rocks. This is a common misconception when folks get into this, is that they think, oh, I'll just cover everything with rocks. You can do that, but I highly discourage it. I made the mistake when I first got into this, doing that myself. So, why is that a bad idea? Well, as most of us are aware, when we go downtown or out in a neighborhood that doesn't have a good canopy of trees or shade, we experience hotter temperatures than the surrounding areas that do have that. This is an ambient heat that radiates off of the ground, mainly concrete and asphalt, causing a heat sink or a heat soak island effect. So when you are considering just putting a bunch of rocks down, understand if you don't disperse those rocks with lots of plants, bushes, yuccas, cacti, whatever it is you want to put in, you are in effect heating up your front yard more than it would be without those rocks, because the heat radiates into them and then it radiates off of them in the evening. So take a look at this example. It's gorgeous. In my opinion, this is the way to go. I will say, once one neighbor starts, the other neighbors tend to follow. So be the trendsetter on your block. Be the first one to start xeriscaping. You will enjoy it so much more than the time sink and the money suck that the traditional lawn is. Now, I should mention, I reached out to Goodwin and the board on this, and their response was that they were supposed to have a hold on these types of notices going out to homeowners until April 1st. Now, that is kind of wild because the heat wave definitely didn't stop on April 1st. But I believe, according to the board and Raquel Goodwin, the management company, they're going to put a moratorium on these notices going out. But again, if you receive one, make sure to comment below or message me. I'm very interested in tracking this and making sure that our homeowners are not being forced to use up our water resources during a historic heat wave because the HOA has a disconnect with the reality that we're all living in this antiquated idea of what our neighborhood needs to look like. Hopefully you found this video interesting. Again, I'll put all the links to what it is you need to know below. Be sure, if you have any questions on how to submit, you follow the ACC video I created, or if you have any questions in regards to the rebates or who to reach out to start your xeriscaping, don't hesitate to ask. I am happy to help. And with that being said, y'all stay safe. Take care now. Bye.